I just saw Pearl in the cinemas. I think this film teaches us some very valuable screenwriting lessons because it's a rare prequel that justifies its existence and is a genuinely valuable addition to the universe of this story. In this video, I will explain exactly why Pearl is more of a companion piece to X rather than a prequel, and why that makes it such a great lesson in how to write screenplays. When you think of prequels, what pops into your head first? There are two core problems that often haunt prequels. Number 1. Foregone conclusions. The nature of a prequel suggests we already know what the outcome will be because we have seen the future. The challenge of a prequel is making the journey worthwhile and interesting despite understanding the outcome, and this is a challenge that most prequels are not up to the task to meet. Monsters University and X-Men Origins Wolverine are two mainstream examples of prequels that are sucked dry of all tension and engaging elements because they do not properly account for the fact that we know what's coming. In Pearl, we know that this character will end up being the old lady in X. We know she has a murderous spirit and a lust for love and worship in that film. Pearl never shies away from this fact and instead faces it head on, addressing it as an inescapable curse that Pearl is destined to be doomed by. The film addresses foregone conclusions by making itself prophetic, which turns out to be presented in a very engaging and satisfying manner. It's able to approach this well because it's a character study that spends a lot of intimate time with Pearl. Horrific fates work well in a horror context too. Number 2. Ruining the mystery / retreading histories. Let's look at the Star Wars franchise to understand this problem. Let's admit it, we were probably all obsessed with Boba Fett when we were kids. There's an allure to his masked presence that gets our imaginations running. He's only present briefly, but just enough to intrigue us and force us to write our own adventures with him in our heads. But suddenly, when he gets an entire show based around him, that becomes some of the most insufferable material that I've ever seen because the helmet is removed and the intrigue is stripped away to show the hollow tusk that lies underneath. The same idea can be applied to filling in unnecessary information that was intentionally left empty for the sake of mystery. For instance, getting an origin story as to why Han's last name is Solo makes him an instantaneously less interesting smuggler because there's nothing left for us to wonder about. Pearl makes sure not to give us unnecessary backstories to the alligator or come up with baloney excuses for anything like that. Pearl as a character is explored extensively in this film, but only in ways that complement X rather than make it less alluring. It is adding to the conversation on the perception of beauty. It says things X did not on this topic. While it fills in gaps to the motivations and histories of Pearl as a character, none of it takes away from her, rather it adds to the nuance and meaning of her character. No information is recommunicated needlessly in this film. As far as I'm concerned, this is a perfect prequel because it is not the classic type of continuation, it's more so a companion piece. Pearl differentiates itself in structure, tone, and intention. There are great sequels like Aliens, which differentiate themselves in many ways like this also, but still, Pearl is more in line with the type of storytelling that I love and find valuable because rather than just being a good and distinct sequel on a popcorn level, this film takes the philosophy of the original and offers new insight, more commentary, and a fresh perspective. Both X and Pearl complement one another, but they stand on their own as original pieces as well. X holds a strong horror movie structure where characters arrive in a new situation which slowly funnels them into the confrontation of something horrific, including the end of their lives. Pearl is far different. While there is some horror DNA in the film, it substitutes that structure for a character study film. It chronicles the rise and fall of this girl's ambitions and dreams as she finds herself trapped on this farm. It intimately follows the internal journey of one girl. For them being so different structurally and tonally, the DNA that holds them together as a series, beyond Mia Goth as the lead and the same central location, is the philosophical idea behind the films. In my video on the top 7 scripts of the year so far, I told my viewers to pay attention to the fact that Mia Goth plays multiple characters in that movie. Why I loved X so much was because it portrayed this idea of the corruptive power the need for beauty and love can have when it is perceived as stardom and external attractiveness. It shows the corruption the porn industry can lead one to and uncovers truths about the nature of beauty and love. In X, we see this cycle of corruption spread through Pearl, the old lady, and Maxine, the up-and-coming porn star. One of the details I love most in the film is that both of these characters are played by Mia Goth, to express the continuing effect and cycle of this corruption. So here, in Pearl, it makes sense for Mia Goth to play the young version of Pearl. This new film shares the philosophical exploration, but it offers new and valuable insight. X took a while to reveal what it was truly about and then horrifies you with the end results of this corruption. In Pearl, we follow a character along and see the corruption play out, showing the impacts and problems it will cause along the way, and it highlights the ways in which people can both avoid and fall into these traps. Pearl does not expand the universe in the name of making more cash off the nostalgia and promise of a pre-existing IP. It expands it in the name of adding to the philosophical conversation at hand. If I were to judge the film in a more objective technical sense, I wouldn't be giving it my highest accolades possible, because I think there are some awkward edges and elements that could be smoothed out. But my optimistic side of me nearly disregarded all of these elements because I simply want to praise the film for being such an amazing prequel and a fun movie. The feel of these films really gels with me. These films aren't perfect, but they are honestly exactly what I want them to be because they're well crafted, memorable, and meaningful. It's already been announced that there will be a third entry in this franchise, that being a sequel to X, which follows the journey of Maxine as she makes her way into Hollywood. Already, that film is confirmed to take place in a different time period, and the teaser has a unique tone, so I'm confident that Ty West has one last angle to contribute to this dissection of beauty, and I cannot wait to see it. I went to a double feature, so I also saw See How They Run, which I'll be talking about in my next video. That releases on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video or found it informative, give it a like and subscribe. If you thought it could have been better though, give it a thumbs down so I know to do better next time. Thanks guys, I'll see you later.